quits the charity that he set up in honor of his mother in a massive win for Dr. Sophie Chandoka, a woke black woman who finally had enough with the bullying.
The story starts with a single brutal sentence that ricocheted through the tabloids. His mother would be ashamed. Not whispered in private circles, not hinted at by anonymous sources, printed in headlines, repeated on morning shows, dissected by royal watchers around the world. Prince Harry's charity, once hailed as the crown jewel of his post-royal identity, is now a smoldering wreck. And it's not just the end of a project, it's the unraveling of a brand he spent years building. For the Sussexes, their public image wasn't just about celebrity status, it was about moral superiority. They were supposed to be different from the establishment they left behind. And now, they're accused of the very hypocrisy they once condemned. When Harry and Meghan launched their charity, the world was told to expect something revolutionary. It would be, in their own words, a vehicle for change, a fusion of Hollywood star power and royal gravitas, a modern tribute to Princess Diana's legacy. Interviews painted a glowing picture, a foundation that would bypass bureaucracy, deliver tangible results, and bring compassion into the 21st century. Every appearance, every photo op, every press release fed the narrative this was about service, not status. But the reality? Far darker. Regulatory deadlines were missed, financial statements were misfiled, and then came the bombshell figures. More money had been spent on executive travel and administration than on the causes they championed. For a charity claiming to honor Diana's values, the contrast couldn't be starker. And the first cracks in that glossy facade appeared sooner than anyone expected. It started quietly. Small, niche blogs noticed unusual patterns in the charity's public filings. At first, the coverage was easy to ignore. A few skeptical tweets, a couple of opinion pieces. But the story wouldn't die. By the time major UK newspapers picked it up, the narrative had shifted. This wasn't a minor oversight. This was a potential scandal in the making. Centable, the charity Harry co-founded in 2006 with Prince Sussexes, was under scrutiny. Reports showed they had missed key filing deadlines, a basic responsibility for any nonprofit. The timing was suspicious, coming just as Harry and Sussexes resigned from their roles. When asked for comment, their camp stayed silent. Days passed, the silence became deafening, and when a spokesperson finally emerged, it wasn't with an explanation, it was with a scolding. The media, they said, was misrepresenting the couple's tireless work. But by then, the damage was done. The facts were in black and white. And then came the twist no one saw coming, a feud at the very top of the organization. Dr. Sophie Chandoka, chair of the charity, broke her silence with a list of allegations that landed like a thunderclap. Poor governance, abuse of power, bullying, misogyny. Her claims weren't vague, they were specific and damning. And then the leak started. An internal memo painted the charity not as a well-oiled philanthropic machine, but as a rudderless ship. Staff turnover was constant. Strategy meetings dissolved into branding discussions. Volunteers had no clear understanding of the mission. One of the most repeated accusations? That Harry and Meghan prioritized photo ops over actual results. A volunteer put it plainly. They'd arrive with cameras, shake a few hands, make a speech, and leave. The grind, the day-to-day work, that was left to us. And once that memo hit the press, the backlash wasn't just local, it went global. Social media erupted. Hashtags like charity scandal and not Diana's way began trending, driven by users who once defended the couple. Even friendly outlets shifted their tone. A US late-night host quipped, "The Sussex charity is the only nonprofit where the mileage points might be worth more than the donations." Laughter in the studio? But for the couple, it was no joke. Royal commentators, many of whom had praised the couple after Megxit, sharpened their critiques. One said on live TV, "You can't hide behind Diana's name if your charity's house is on fire." Watchdog groups confirmed the worst suspicions. This wasn't just bad luck or growing pains, it was a structural failure. And then the receipts surfaced, literal receipts, showing where the money really went. The financial filings were damning. Yes, donations poured in millions thanks to their Netflix deals, Oprah interview bump, and celebrity network. But the amounts reaching real projects? Shockingly small. Instead, consultancy fees that raised eyebrows. Operational costs that rivaled corporate expenses. Luxury travel bills, first-class flights, five-star hotel stays, all filed under charity business. One donor, speaking to The Times, didn't hold back. "I gave because I believed in Diana's son. I didn't give so he could have meetings in New York penthouses. I feel betrayed." Some donors are already consulting legal teams to recover funds. But if the money trail was ugly, the behind-the-scenes culture was even worse. A royal historian put it bluntly in The Times. Diana knew that credibility is the currency of charity work. Harry has burned through it in record time. In the early days, after stepping down from royal duties, the Sussexes had the public on their side. They were the fresh start, the modern alternative to palace politics. But the narrative shifted. Instead of building lasting programs, they built buzz. And buzz is fickle. Now even A-list allies have fallen silent. The once frequent Instagram endorsements are gone. Event invites are fewer. For public figures whose brand is built on visibility, that kind of silence is deafening. And just when they thought it couldn't get worse, the regulators came knocking. The UK's Charity Commission is reportedly circling. An inquiry could force Harry and Meghan to hand over every record: bank statements, contracts, emails. If mismanagement is proven, the fallout could go beyond reputation. Legal consequences, repayment demands, even restrictions on future charity work are all on the table. And here's the thing about legal inquiries. They don't care about PR spin, they care about hard evidence. And in this case, the paper trail might speak louder than any carefully worded statement. In the end, this is about more than a charity collapse. It's about trust. The trust that Diana earned by walking through minefields, holding AIDS patients' hands, and making herself secondary to the cause. Harry has said he feels his mother's guiding presence every day. But if that's true, what would she think now? Would she see this as a noble vision undone by bad luck, or as a preventable disaster born from ego and misplaced priorities? For many, the answer is already clear. And that's the problem with building your brand on moral superiority. When you fall harder. Right now, the Sussex charity scandal hasn't just knocked them off their pedestal, it's smashed it to pieces. And the words, "his mother would be ashamed," may echo louder and longer than anything they say in their defense.